Hello again, hope everyone's doing well. Today's video is episode 4 of the top 10 highest selling AFL rookie cards of the week, and this week is ending the 9th of October 2022. So before I get into the list today, it's clearly been a very busy week in both the AFL and the footy card world. AFL with the trade period going on and some huge moves with Horn Francis, Brody Grundy, probably the two biggest ones to me. And in the footy card world, we've got people receiving their boxes of 2022 Optimum. There's a lot of activity going on, a lot of sales, a lot of cards up for sale. And this means for next week, I'll probably end up doing for my top 10, the top 5 selling Optimum 2022 cards and the top 5 selling other cards, because I hazard a guess that the top 10 are all going to be Optimum 2022 with the way some of these players are selling. But without any further ado, I'm going to get into the list for this week. And it starts off with Robert Murphy in 10th place, his draft pick signature from 2000 Y2K. This card had 800 copies and it sold for $75 shipped. So this card is very similar to the Harry Taylor last week, I think, of a player who's a legend at his club, but probably doesn't have that competition-wide legend status. And I'm a bit surprised at this price, $75. I think you could pick him up usually for about 30 to 40. I've seen lots on eBay for that kind of price over the last couple of years. But I think this is an opportunity if people want to buy these kind of medium players for cheap prices. If you see them pop up for 20, 30 bucks and then flip them to people for this $75 price point, I think there is some money to be made, but it's very non-liquid kind of cards. Like, you have to really find the right buyer, so there is kind of risk attached in that way as well. But that's all I got to say about Robert Murphy. The next card coming in at number 9 is Finley McRae's Copper draft pick signature from 2021 Optimum. This card is numbered out of 170 and it sold for $81. Now, Finley McRae, he only played 2 games in 2022, I believe, so very speculative to buy this card. In saying that, it's only $81 and you see what these prices of the 2022 class are coming out at. So if you're a Collingwood collector and that's your man, then so be it. Definitely go for it. And you guys know how I feel about these cards, so I'm not going to drone on and on about the same thing every week. So moving on to number 8, we've got Bo McCreary's gold draft pick signature from 2021 Optimum. This is another Collingwood player from 2021 Optimum, a more consistent player. Obviously, the Magpies coaching staff really like him because he seems to get a game every week, although he's definitely not a standout at this point of his career. This is his gold, so it's numbered out at 85, and if I didn't mention, it sold for $84. But this is, the rarer gold draft pick signature as compared to Finley McRae, so you'd think this person got a slightly better deal with their purchase there. Moving on to number 7. So we've got Riley Thilthorpe's Copper draft pick signature from 2021 Optimum again. So that's 3 in a row for the past year's Optimum. It is interesting because I thought coming up to 2022, people would be saving their money for the new release and not kind of forgetting about these cards that were big a year ago. But it might have gone the opposite, and maybe people think they can score a couple deals now this new release has come out. They think that people are going to be fire selling their cards from last year and they can get a good price in that. But for Thilthorpe, this is out of 170, as you guys know, sold for $85. Thilthorpe probably has a bit more promise than the last 2 players on the list and potential upside. I really like the way he plays. I think anyone who's that big and has that much of a presence can be a big force in the AFL for years to come, but we'll have to wait and see. Next, in 6th place, we've got Elijah Hollins with his Copper draft pick signature from 2021 Optimum again. So that's 4 in a row. Hollins, kind of like McRae, he doesn't really play. I think he's only played 1 game in his first 2 seasons of AFL. So at $107 for his 3rd best DPS, obviously someone has a lot of belief in him. He's highly rated by many, but he just hasn't been on the park so far. So it's hard to tell if he has that star status in him. But moving on to the top 5, rounding out the top 5, we've got James Sicily's DPS from 2014 Honours 1. This one is numbered out of 400 copies and it sold for $127. James Sicily, he is an out and out star of the competition. I don't think he's made All Australian yet, but he was really sorely unlucky last year, I think, and I think he's only coming into the prime of his career now. Do I think he's going to be the legend status? No, but he might slot into that kind of Robert Murphy, Harry Taylor club great status into the future. And in saying that, if he does go there, his prices are going to probably drop from this $127 price point. But me personally, I really like the way he plays, so I'm happy to see him on this list. Fourth place, we've got another 2021 card of Jamara Ugle-Hagen's Copper DPS 2021 Optimum. This one sold for $133, and as you guys know, it's numbered out of 170 like the others. Ugle-Hagen was the hottest prospect coming into 2021 Optimum. This price has probably dropped quite significantly from when it first came out, and people, I think over the past year, people have become a bit more educated and a bit more maybe risk averse in the AFL space. Lots of people still pay top dollar just at release time, but I feel there were a lot of people very new to the hobby at that point, and now with 1 year's experience, they probably know how the hobby works a bit better, and they might be going about their purchases a tad differently. But back onto topic, Jamara, I mean, I'm a Dogs fan, but I can't really see him being that generational talent he was supposed to be. I just think he plays a bit soft, to be honest. Like, I don't really see him crashing packs or doing those kind of key forward things. He could be a handy second or third toll, but that's not really what he was drafted for. He was drafted to be a superstar. So anything less than that is a bit disappointing for me. And I could see him kind of getting traded in the next couple of years or something along those lines if he doesn't pick up his level of play in the short term. And that's especially with someone coming into the team like Rory Lobb. I think he's definitely going to be worse than Norton, worse than Lobb, and probably in that third or maybe even fourth forward spot. So that is not the place you want to be as a prior number one pick. Moving on to the top three. In third spot, we've got Jack Riewald's DPS from 2007 Supreme. This one is numbered out of 450 copies and it sold for $299. This is the same set as the Joel Selwood, which we covered a couple weeks ago. Jake Riewald, but although he might not be my favorite player and his style of play isn't as flashy as other forwards of our generation, he is legitimately a great, for sure. He's kicked like 750 goals. He's won the 3 premierships, and Richmond might not be done. They're really reloading with the Hopper and Taranto acquisitions. So coming into next year, they're going to be one of the favourites to win the flag. So if he does that again, his legacy's only going to grow. At $299, I think there is a bit of Richmond tax involved in this purchase, but it's not the worst card to buy, and this is probably about market price, maybe a tad high. So moving into the top two, in second place we've got Marcus Bontempelli's DPS from 2014 Honours 1. This one sold for $367 and is numbered out of 400. This is the same release as the Sicily, which came in number 5, and the Cripps, which we've talked about previously. But the Bont, I really think he is the best player in the AFL, and I was thinking this week when he's going to be eligible or when he deserves to be a Hall of Fame level player. And honestly, I think he was a Hall of Famer a year ago. I think when he was age 25, he'd had 4 best and fairest, 4 All-Australians, a premiership player, and a very key player in that premiership team, not just a bystander. So I think if you give those stats to nearly any player in the history of the AFL, they're already a Hall of Famer, and he had that at 25. So I'm really interested to see what he can do with the rest of his career, because if he keeps going at that pace, he has a great shot of becoming the next kind of like GOAT status, above people like, or at least on the same level as people like Dangerfield and Dusty and Fife. This card in particular, I remember thinking it was a bit overvalued at $150, $200, where whatever it sold for about 2 years ago. But I made a big mistake there because I was always chasing his Future Force cards. This one's numbered out of 400. The Future Force Red is numbered out of 200, I believe, and the Gold's numbered out of 40. So in my mind at that time, I was thinking, why would you want this card numbered out of 400 if you can get the rarer draft pick signatures or the rarer rookie signatures from the Future Force release? Now, looking back, I definitely made a mistake. Number one, this card is in the team colors. This is his first or only DPS in the Bulldogs uniform. Number two, this is in a main set. And although I love Future Force, there are going to be people who only want to collect DPSs from the main set. And I completely understand that now, that some people might have this viewpoint. But there's also one more I forgot about, and that is the overall population. I definitely underestimated or overestimated how many draft signature cards he had. He only, like I said, he only had 240 from Future Force. So adding this 400 from the main release, that's still only a population of 640. And that's less than, say, Nick Riewald, when he's only got one draft pick signature. That's numbered higher than 640. So I definitely underappreciated how little Bont rookie cards are in the market, and how the market could consume all of them, like absorb the market value of all of them at once. So that was a mistake by me. I probably should have picked this up a couple of years ago, but at $367, it's still not at a ridiculous price. Hopefully it comes down a bit so I can pick one up. But yeah, it's not a bad price for whoever bought that this week. I have seen it go for more. And that brings us to number one, the first card that's been number one twice in this series so far, and that is Buddy Franklin's DPS from 2005 Dynasty. This one sold for $407 and it's numbered out of 600 copies. So this is, like I said, the second time this has been in the number one spot. Since the last time, it's actually up $17 or 4.1%. So it has seen a slight tick up. I did mention the last one that sold, I think it was about $380. So that one was a good price. This one is a very standard price, and I expect it to stay around here, maybe go down a bit due to his grand final performance, or up a bit. Maybe the optimum tide kind of just takes all footy cards up in this time period, but I think this is a very fair price for the time being. So that's all I've got. Next week, like I said, I'm probably going to split it half and half, depending what eBay says, what the eBay sales say, whether it's too optimum dominant, but we will see. So I'll see you then and catch you later. Cheers.